Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts. I'm Debbie Potts. That sounds weird, but I am wanting to do short videos to help you understand what you can do today. Simple new habits you can implement into your life to improve the future you. As we are mostly listening to me, you're probably middle age and sounds so old, but I feel that I'm in my 40s still. I say 45, but it's actually the opposite of that. And I am really doing whatever I can do today to be my best self in the future, especially if you have parents that are aging and watch what happens to them. Start to understand that all of the changes we see as we age with our parents and their friends, it's the choices we make, and it starts today. So I want to help you not wait and be struggling when you are 80. I want us to all be thriving as we age, and in middle age, we need to start taking action now and not wait until we have problems. So today's focus on this video is just to talk about, again, I sound like a broken record, but I want to show you how your metabolism isn't broken, trying to explain it in shorter videos, not just looking at exterior. I want us to think about how we as practitioners, I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, nutritional therapy practitioner, and longtime metabolic health coach and trainer, and putting together what I'm calling, as I age, the future you blueprint, and how we need to test and guess to figure out what you need to do as a unique individual to be your best self when you are 70, 80, 90 years old. And visualizing how you see yourself living life. Visualize and write out, picture what you want to be doing when you're retired. Maybe that's at 60, 65, hopefully. And see what you're doing when you're 70. What are you going to be doing when you're 80? My mom's 84. So I start looking at, okay, she still went to Europe this year on a cruise. She's traveling, but she's not moving very well. She's not the exercise type person. And I see her muscles just dwindling, and she's struggling getting up out of a chair and going upstairs. Think about getting up and down out of your car, going to the bathroom, getting out of your sofa chair. Or if we go to the beach, I put her in the beach chair and we couldn't get her up. So I think how important strength is, figuring out how to exercise, what to eat, what supplements we should put in our plan. So really, the problem is most people are guessing and they're not measuring. And here's the truth. Most people believe that their metabolism is slow, broken, just part of getting older, which is big pet peeve, or just metabolism just stubborn. It's understanding your metabolism is not a single number. It's a system influenced by many things, as your mitochondria, your hormone function, your nervous system. We talk about the vagus nerve all the time, your breathing patterns, muscle mass, stress load, gut health, recovery, and your fuel usage. Are you burning carbohydrates as I'm sitting here? Am I burning fat? How are you using fat as a main fuel source, or using carbohydrates during the day? So when you tell me I'm eating clean or I'm eating healthy, which I always ask people, what does healthy food look like? Because you can be eating healthy foods and they can be a part of your problem if they're foods you're reactive to and they're causing GI stress. So we want to look at, yeah, what if you are eating clean and you're working out regularly and nothing's working? But understanding, to me, that's a red flag. It's a sign you are training and fueling wrong because you don't actually know what your system is needing. And that's why I'm a true believer in metabolic testing. And it's the missing piece. And I don't understand why everyone doesn't do this test at least once a year, ideally quarterly, because there's so much we can learn from doing a resting metabolism test. And it's the easiest test you ever do. you lie there and I want you to be quiet, which is still quiet breathing. Being still is hard for a lot of people, but really it's not, you don't have to do anything but not move. Now, a resting metabolic test, I like to do it for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes for some people a little bit more uptight and need a little more relaxation time so we can get good data. But I've been doing metabolic testing since 2005. I used to use it with New Leaf, and then that company dissolved and Lifetime Fitness bought the equipment, so we couldn't test anymore. And then I found PNOE metabolism testing at Ironman Hawaii on the street at Leahy Drive down in the village. And I was curious and I finally purchased the testing equipment 3 years ago. And it's portable and I can go take it to groups. I've taken it to Kona with me, test people, and I'm doing testing by appointment in Solana Beach, North San Diego, and Del Mar. But I feel that there's misunderstanding, or maybe people don't even know about it, what you learn in a resting metabolic test and in an exercise test. So here's the RMR test. We call it resting metabolic rate. Your true resting calorie burn, we can identify. So we're not undereating, you're not overeating. Well, I don't want you to count calories, but we get an idea. Are you doing too little? Is your body starving? Are you overeating? Are you fasting too long? And do you have some metabolic slowdowns? You finally know what your baseline is at the time we're testing. It will change with our new blueprint we'll give you when we finish our analysis. Now, the other thing we find out is whether you are burning fat or you're burning carbohydrates at rest. If you're burning mostly carbohydrates at rest, red flag. And then I like to look at your blood chemistry, go, okay, what's your A1C? What's fasting insulin? Let's order that. What are other markers of like triglycerides and CRP? Look at your thyroid panel as your free T3 and free T4. And looking at, of course, fasting glucose, but really looking at more data so we connect the dots and we see patterns. Just understanding that if you are metabolically flexible, maybe you're not using stored fat efficiently. And fat loss might always feel that you're pushing a boulder uphill when you're not metabolically healthy, when you're not burning fat as your main fuel source. So we need to work on that. There's solutions. Now, what if your metabolism is suppressed? Your resting metabolic rate test can actually reveal metabolic adaptations caused by chronic dieting, poor thyroid conversion, overtraining, high cortisol, menopause, poor sleep habits, and even gut inflammation. If your resting metabolic rate is lower than predicted for your height, weight, gender, age, we focus on rebuilding, not restricting, not adding more sources of stress. All right, next, because we're wearing a mask, we're measuring your breath. And so we're going to look at your breathing patterns. This is huge. You might not realize how important your breathing is. If you breathe too fast or too shallow at rest, it's actually a sign of chronic stress, sympathetic dominance, poor carbon dioxide tolerance, and nervous system overload. So this can affect everything from fat loss, sleep, your thyroid, and even recovery. A simple inhale and exhale ratio can reveal how stressed your metabolism really is. Now, what do you learn from the active metabolic testing? Some people hear this and they go like, what is the active metabolic testing? That's what we call it. You can call it VO2 max. You can call it a FatMax test, an exercise metabolism test. But this is really a test that completely transforms how you train. And I do believe you need to do both the resting test and exercise test together. And then ideally, I want to see your genetics and your blood chemistry and all that. And the mitochondria test would be amazing, the me screen. So PNOE active metabolism testing is not a guessing game using heart rate formula. We're not doing 220 minus your age. We're not doing a lactate test. We're not doing a breath by a 220, what did I say? 220, we did that. The 180 minus your age, the Maffetone method. We used to always do that formula. And actually it's pretty similar to a lot of times I've done testing to figure out your FatMax in the past. But the point is, we're not guessing. We're not using math. We're using science. We're doing a breath by breath measurement of your real physiology. So we're going to find out what is your true zone 2. Most people hear about doing zone 2 training and sprint training. Here's what I know. Most people are not in zone 2 at all. They're not at the peak FatMax. They're completely way higher into probably zone 3 tempo, where they're burning mostly carbohydrates. A little bit of fat, mostly carbs. That's where most people think their zone 2 is, and it's really zone 3. Now, when people do speed work, we'll talk about that later, but that's, people are doing that completely wrong. It's not zone 5 to zone 1. So often zone 2 training, people are in zone 3. It's too hard to burn fat and too easy to improve fitness. It's not, it's what Stacy Sims would say, zone 2 and sprint training. It's, you're in that gray zone, the dead zone. It's too easy to be hard and too hard to be easy, whatever. I'm not saying that right, but you get what I mean. If your real zone 2 is the exact intensity that helps you rebuild mitochondria, it improves fat oxidation, increases your endurance, it helps lower your blood sugar and reduces inflammation. And you cannot find this without testing, even if you do lactate testing. I want to know peak FatMax. That's going to be the top of zone 1, bottom of zone 2. What heart rate are you burning the most fat? Top of your zone 2 is your metabolic crossover point, where the carbohydrate usage goes up, the fat's coming down. So we have this point. What heart rate range? It's never that exact number, because when we're testing on a treadmill inside, it's going to be different than outside. But in that range, where is your crossover point? So that's going to be your zone 2. Right now, then it should improve 3 months down the road when we test you again, if you followed the plan. Now, intensity. I go crazy. Even I own a fitness studio for 10 years. I use my zone. I've done heart zone training forever. I actually taught seminars for Sally Edwards back in the day of heart zone training, what it means. And now PNOE metabolism testing, we identify your true HIIT and sit sprint interval training numbers. Most people say they're doing HIIT, but they're not at all reaching the intensity that actually triggers VO2 adaptation. So when people are doing these VO2 workouts, doing a 4x4, they're not doing it right. What we will identify is what pace, what power, what heart rate, what actually reflects your physiology at high intensity. HIIT training, are you doing just a HIIT training that burns you out? We're going to figure out what it is, because zone 4, if you're doing a longer, say a 4-minute or 3-minute piece, your recovery is in zone 1. And we'll go over how long you need to be there before you come back up to zone 4. If you're doing sprint interval training, it's 30 seconds to 45 seconds. You're working so hard, your heart rate monitor is not really going to tell you yet, because it's not long enough for the heart rate to catch up. And then your recovery is going to be twice as long or longer if you're not used to doing interval rest-based training. So we will have to reprogram your workouts and have it more rest-based interval training. Now, the other part people talk about is this peak FatMax zone. This is a gold area. Your FatMax zone is the exact intensity where your fat burning is maximized. It could be, as Brad Kearns, Mark Sisson talk about in their Born to Walk book, it could be walking pace, but I know I can improve you so your peak FatMax is, say, 120 heart rate. This will tell us, how do you need to train for fat loss, how long you should go, at what pace, what heart rate, personalized fat burning, but also for mitochondrial health and other cellular benefits. Now, we're also looking at oxygen efficiency, revealing, of course, markers, as you would think, your cardiovascular fitness, your mitochondria health, breathing, coordination, aging markers. We're going to get a 15-page report to go over and help figure out what's best for you. VO2 max is one of the strongest predictors of longevity, but I often like to say at VO2 peak, because most people are not used to breathing with that mask on, and I think they can go a little harder. So the first time doing the test, I'd say they're peak, but we'll see when we retest. Now, the last part of the test, we'll go to VO2 peak, and then a third part of the test, because I warm up, do a 12-minute test about to your VO2 peak, and then we're measuring recovery. How fast does your heart rate go from high as possible all the way down in 1 minute? how fast do you recover? And how long is your breathing recover? If your heart rate and breathing stay elevated too long, we know that you're overstressed, your training is too hard, your parasympathetic system needs support, vagus nerve, and you risk plateau or burnout. This shapes your entire training plan that we need to redo and course correct. Now, the last part, we use this data to build your own future you blueprint. Once we test, we get your metabolic story, your personalized future you blueprint, and strategic plan designed to help you in the next few years, 10 years, 30 years, not just 30 days. Retesting every 3 months, ideally doing blood chemistry panel quarterly or twice a year, and GI map and the mitochondria me screen test would be even better. And genetics is the DNA company. When I do the metabolism testing packages, we're using nutritional therapy intake form. I look at a 5-day food and mood log. I'm looking at what are you doing now? What's working, what's not working, what supplements you're doing. We analyze that together. We're going to look at your resting metabolic rate, your fat oxidation rate, your carb tolerance, your stress load, blood sugar patterns, hormones, not dieting. We're not looking at macros. We're not restricting. We're just figuring out what do you need based on what we're doing right now. So your personalized fitness plan will be based on your true zone 2, true HIIT or sit training, VO2 optimization, strength training, and recovery. And this is, and I'll put in mobility too, is just as important as the other elements of fitness planning and movement throughout the day. This is why we want to look at not more HIIT or more cardio. It just doesn't work because you're not getting a personalized program with exact data that's based on where you are today. So we can be even better in 30, 90 days. So your lifestyle recovery strategy, this is what I bring in the holistic method. 8 elements I've taught for years: nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, movement, mobility, gut health, hydration, mineral balancing. And then number 1, I think, is happiness, play, gratitude, how we need to have a gratitude practice. And then we can work on further coaching and looking at your lifestyle, your morning routine, your evening routine, that sunlight in the morning and dimming the lights at night and all that stuff. So if you feel that you're stuck, you're doing everything right, nothing's changing, you still feel tired, you feel puffy, inflamed, and just congested in your body, and you're gaining weight and you can't burn fat no matter what, you just feel like it's not shifting. Maybe you're overwhelmed by all the information out here. It's conflicting and you don't know what's best. You're trying this, you're trying that. You're stuck in the cycle of trial and error. And I believe we need to get a personalized approach and not have this one size fits all template, that we need to maybe start with that and then figure out testing what your body's saying. I love putting in genetics, as I said, in there, and then that mitochondria test and the GI map. But at least start with getting a metabolism testing. If you can't come see me, you can look at the new website. It's called DexaScan, has new listing for testing. There's also Fitnicity, and then PNOE, PNOE. There's 3 listings that I know I'm on there for North San Diego, Solana Beach. So I like to do packages. They might be a little $100 more than someone else, but I'm actually looking at your nutritional therapy, your intake forms, your health history, your fitness history, your goals, and looking at all that information and put that against your metabolism testing, the resting and the active, put it together, and then we discuss it, review the results, and then my recommendations. So if you want to come to North San Diego, Solana Beach, come get tested. You can go walk on the beach, Fletcher's Cove, or go down Del Mar, my favorite beach to walk down towards Torrey Pines. You can enjoy yourself for a weekend as well. Let's get testing. So remember, let's work on improving our future self. Take action now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we can dive into some other topics to improve yourself this next year.